Come stop and take a trip down on my block, where you see hidden potential, young minds sharper than Ginsu, and ain't afraid to speak their mind if they got something against you. We standing with you, we tackle issues like civic pride. Hate will cease to exist, let's put our differences aside. From my side to your side, from Dutchtown to South Side, from Penrose to North Side, from Benton Park to Old North, the West End to West Side. We blessed when we step out, we stand down, rise up, stand together, wise up.
This is StitchCast Studio, produced by St. Louis Story Stitchers in St. Louis, Missouri.
In this week's episode, our StitchCast sits down with Ryan Vickers to have a conversation about urban youth and the juvenile justice system.
They say who that, but you already knew that. That be them story stitches, story stitches, story stitches, story stitches, story stitches.
Hello, everybody under the sound of my voice. I want to thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of StitchCast Studio. I'm your host, Brandon Lewis, accompanied by several members, and may I remind you, this is an edition of StitchCast Live. It's a little different, you feel me? It's a little different. I know y'all can't hear them, but we actually got a little bit of an audience. If you in the audience, can you make some noise so they know y'all here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You feel me? You feel me? You feel me? Just so y'all know, we ain't out here capping. We actually live out here. How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling good. What up, y'all? You're fine. I'm living. What's good? I'm feeling good.
Fire. And we got a special guest, you feel me? We are now partnered with an organization called YAP. And here to tell us about YAP and to help us have the conversation about black youth and the juvenile system, we got Director Ryan Vickers in the building. How you feeling, boss?
What's the word, man? How you doing today?
Fire. All right, so let's just hop right into it, man. When we was researching you and researching YAP, we saw that you are also an alderman in Fairview, right? How do you balance being Missouri director at YAP and alderman in Fairview?
I mean, yeah, so like I'm somebody who like I'm not really from over on this side of the loop, but I always worked over here, went to school over here a couple times coming up. So like I'm pretty familiar with both sides of the river. I know a lot of people really don't be on both sides of the river like that professionally or just, you know what I'm saying, chilling, kicking it. But the alderman job is more part-time, so it's not like I'm going there every day. I'm more so got meetings each week. But nevertheless, but the director position with YAP's organization over here is the job that I go to more every day, the day-to-day gigs. You know, balancing it for me, I mean, I'm interested in just doing work in the community. You know what I'm saying? So that's on multiple fronts. You know what I'm saying? The alderman thing really ain't got too much to do with you or, St. Louis for that matter. But it's just still about, being in the community, doing stuff that like people who look like us usually don't be doing at 30.
Wow, that's real. I like the way that sounds. Before we go into the next one, I do want to say real quick, I'm glad you said that because I feel like some people specifically on this side of the water try to treat the other side of the water like it's not still St. Louis. And I don't really understand it. I don't really rock with it either, whatever. I feel like we should be more unified than that. So I like when I hear that, people be on both sides of the water like that. I do too. I'm not gonna act like I stay on the east side or nothing like that, but I do go over there when the opportunity presents itself. When you were learning about YAP and when you were looking into YAP, what stood out to you? What made you feel like this was the job for you?
Well, I had another mutual friend that like they elected somewhere else, and they're like with YAP in Chicago. And she been with YAP for a little while. I already kind of was in this space doing some of this work, but more so like with adults. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that it was when I found out that YAP was coming to St. Louis from Chicago and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of jumped up on it earlier when they were really like rolling the program out.
Felt. That's real. I know our youth that's up here have questions too, and I'm gonna open the floor for y'all to ask questions. But before I do, I want to hear from y'all. When we were looking into YAP, preparing for this podcast, what are some of the things that stood out to y'all? What are some of the things that you like? What stuck with you when we were reading up on YAP and Ryan?
For me, it was being more specific about the judicial system, justice system. Because growing up in St. Louis, like, we know a lot of people around our age that go through that. Even before they get to 16, 17, they go through the judicial system very young because of decisions that they made.
Yeah.
And so seeing that YAP is focusing on that specifically to kind of lower those numbers, it really means a lot personally, and I know it means a lot to the community.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah, what really stuck out to me when reviewing what YAP was how it talked about relationship, specifically like rebuilding the family dynamic. I think that's very important. I think it does in a lot of ways start at home. So kind of restructuring how we view family, whether that's by, blood or just by, relationships with people. That's something I really admire.
That's real. That's real. Anybody else?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say to that, like, that's one of the biggest things about YAP. I know a lot of times, like, you get programs that, like, they in the community, they work with teens, they working with getting teens interested in whatever their hobbies may be, but they don't really enter the home, and then the resources and the work that you're doing with the kid don't really permeate the home. So, like, one of the biggest things, like, we on with YAP is making sure that we get resources for, like the parents and the siblings and the other people in the house. Because, like, a lot of times it's all the structural factors around that, right, that hold you back from being able to have success when it's talking about, focusing on those main things, teens need to focus on that may be in trouble, like, getting back in school, what I'm saying, your health and getting to the doctor, because you probably ain't been to the doctor in some years. Figuring out whatever your legal game plan gonna be, what I'm saying, so you can be successful on those things.
That's real. That's real. I want to open up the floor for the questions that y'all got.
I wanted to know, like, as far as you've been around in the organization, what are some of the most notable accomplishments that you all have, and how did you get there with those accomplishments?
So the St. Louis program is very new. What I'm saying? So you're talking about a program that's just getting started. And we're going to be working with about 30 youth over a year, which seems small, but that's still, if you can, have an impact with that, then you good. But I would point to just being able to open up in other places, what I'm saying? Because it take a lot to get these grants and funding, and what I'm saying? So being in 35 different states, and I think 50 or 60 major cities, what I'm saying, is one of the biggest things I know that they focus on up top. What I'm saying? For me, at this level, it's more about just individual goals with kids. That some of them we met, some of them I don't know who those kids that we're gonna work with yet. But I would say that it's still gonna be focused around, what I'm saying, they individual goals. Then when we look up in 6 months to a year, we will be able to say, like, all right, they on a better track than where they were.
Right.
But as far as the app up top, what I'm saying, like, success for them is being able to do this in other areas, right? And people wanting you to come in and do the work.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I guess with that in mind, what you just said, kind of a segue, what does partnering with other like-minded organizations look like to you to reach that goal?
My bad.
Yeah.
I would say, so for YAP, it's about finding other organizations that we could get our kids into, even if they're not necessarily what we do. What I'm saying? So it's like about finding other organizations to get them into along the way as they kind of leaving our program, or just along the way while they in our program, just so they got other extracurriculars to do. What I'm saying? So, like, story stitchers, if we get some youth that's involved into, anything like in the arts or media, what I'm saying, we'd be trying to filter them, that way, toward getting involved with those type of things. What I'm saying? So Story Stitchers is an org that, what I'm saying, as soon as you get somebody that's interested in, a podcast or some engineering or this or that, what I'm saying, they can hone in on those skills, at least starting, with Story Stitchers.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's that time again. Time for our StitchCast Studio Arts Interlude. That's right, it's time to pick the city up. This week, we have a Story Stitchers original piece entitled Juvenile.
I once knew a juvenile who learned to dream in color as his world was bathed in gray. In every way, this seemed to be impossible, improbable as the unsolvable painted his mind. You could find him locked in a place with scraped gray walls and brown bars, heated with a dirty, scarred coldness that clothed his metal bed. Rusty red blankets with ebony locks that bind his mind to Section 8 cushions, bunk beds with survival blue, food stamps and silver society perception, interception his truth of gold, collecting his generation's scarlet crimes, blame for the neon adultery that created his existence, groomed since the time he could cry. He wondered why. Why do I have so much baggage? Why do I feel so cold? Why do I feel so trapped? And he wondered high. He found him wandering into the sky blue dreams that had never seen gray thereby, an artist, a juvenile, a dreamer who learned to dream in color, rebellious to the colorless system. You see, his brown eyes conditioned to see fragmented families and broke brown poverty before he could see his own tender tears. Tears that toughened, stuffed into black bruises, melochrome music painting the hues of his mind. Rappers wrapped in bloody beats and pain-led lyrics, looking to poison the rainbow shards that remained in his dreams, his indigo dreams. Those indigo dreams, where he seems to indigo his golden threads by any means, sometimes disruptive and other times destructive. Finding the ebony green and the ruby red radiant through the cracks in the walls. Stepping through the gray to gold to those dreams. Dreams that he remembered his youth, that he remembered his truth, that he now remembers those greeny paths he remembered to tread along the golden brick road amidst the black-gray storms. And though there were storms, tornadoes that thundered his corded mind to lightning, conformed him to a black clap, white flashes and gray shackles. He remembered to bask in the sapphire, royal blue birthright, truths that slept dormant in the magenta corridors of his spiritual form beyond the physical cell. For he was born powerful, colorful, chromatic, curious of the blank canvas, connected to the ultraviolet, otherworldly, heavenly hued. Pigments that infuse his life with paint and prosperity in a world that is colorblind. Taking the paintbrush and the color palette of his mind to paint anew, to paint a path anew, a new design. So let me play you the story of this boy. Someone once asked me the question, how does a juvenile learn to dream in color when his world is painted gray? And the question came to me in a dream. By embracing the hues of the soul, undaunted, unyielding, ever-changing. And that's that piece.
Question. So you touched on it earlier about not just focusing on the kid, but going into the household with parents and siblings and whatnot. How does that conversation start? More so with the parent.
So I mean, you're really not gonna be in the program unless your parent already kind of got you in the program. So it's two different ways that you could be in the program. So the first way you could be in the program is if you kind of like are leaving the detention center, and you probably gonna be getting out of jail soon, and that they view you as somebody who like you're ready to get on the right track. You know what I'm saying? When you get home or whatnot. The other way would be like if you kind of like are somebody that they see going down the wrong path, and you kind of on the high list, and you kind of somebody that the police are seeing a lot, you kind of into the stealing the cars and stuff like that, that you already might be identified in some of these areas and neighborhoods. Those are some people that they gonna be filtering to us as well. So I think you're dealing with two different situations, you know what I'm saying? One where you might be dealing with a kid who like are ready to do the right thing, and then one where you was able to get a kid before they were able to go deeper into, you know what I'm saying, get in trouble. But either way it go, it still get down to like the parent being ready to be involved with it too, and the parent being ready to be in the program with them as well, literally and figuratively, right? You know, but the success is based off of the parent, but they're not going to be in the program without the parent already tapped in with it.
The question came to mind, like, how do we begin to have the conversation of accountability and awareness for parents when you talk about like the significance of like the parent being involved and that kind of being what leads the youth to become a program member?
Like I said, it's not really something like a parent can come up and request their kid to get in there. So it kind of got to be the luck of the draw of, you know, those entities wanting you to be in there. But I mean, it's also something that could save your kid life. You know what I'm saying? If they in it and you a part of it and stuff like that too. So I think it just started with having people that the parents can relate to as well. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, you dealing with all type of different. If a kid 15, like the parent can be 30 or 50, you know what I'm saying? So you're dealing with a wide range, but then you just got to be somebody that's relatable, and it's about having people in those spaces who can do those things. I mean, I think it started with, you know what I'm saying, having somebody who want to do the work, that type of work, and then having somebody who understands systems, and then, you know, having somebody who understands resources, you know what I'm saying? Then having somebody who want to be honest. That needs to be first. But yeah.
You mentioned earlier how you were more so doing this work with adults first before you got to YAP. Are there differences in how you approach the work when dealing with adults versus dealing with juveniles or youth?
Yeah, I just think so. Most of the time, like, you still got a chance where, you know, most people are gonna approach, you know, youth in a way where it's like they understand that they might be able to turn it around or do certain things or yada, yada, yada. But then, you know, usually when you're dealing with adults, you're just gonna have people that's pretty much at a place where they don't have the patience to go the extra distance, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't say that was my experience across the board. Like, I mean, I'm into doing that type of work. If you leave in jail and you're 16 or 36, like, you still fundamentally gonna have to get going on some of the same things, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't think the work is very different, but I think that the people working in it got a different tolerance on what they come to work with each day, you know what I'm saying? You might be able to get a youth that you like, and then, you know what I'm saying, they got you wanting to go the extra mile for them and get them over that hump. You don't always get into those spaces with adults all the time because you're kind of looking at it a different way a lot of times. So it just depends on where your heart at with that type of work.
Felt. What parts of the system do you think need the most work of the juvenile system?
That went deep. I mean, it's just a lot. I think a lot of those issues too kind of like start at the school, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of just issues that, I mean, they start at the crib for sure, but then when you go to school, it's like you also dealing with people that's like can't deal with those issues, you know what I'm saying? And they can't deal with those children, but they also like can't really deal with the different structural factors that those kids come to school with. So like it's tough. I know you talking more like direct, like what can we do different, like to police juveniles or within the courts and stuff like that. But like I just think, like I said, a lot of those issues kind of start with the in the schools. So just getting people that's more relatable, but then you need that too as it relates to just like on the whole juvenile justice side. Like you really need people who can relate to what's going on and then been in those different spaces and, you know what I'm saying, and trained up the right way. You know what I'm saying, to be able to deal with those kids. And then you kind of need people too from that world a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I'm definitely somebody from that world as it relate to like was kind of in BD or had an IEP and stuff like that. And you know what I'm saying, was getting in trouble in school. It wasn't for some of the stuff that you might have went to jail for. But it was still like, if you get in enough trouble, you know what I'm saying, in school, you're gonna get suspended for whatever. So it's just about having people who understand that world and, you know what I'm saying, and live some life too. You know, looking at somebody who you could tell is successful, but they look like you or come from your space, go a long way on people like wanting to do something different.
That's real. Yeah, so the question is, do you believe that asking the youth questions as opposed to just giving solutions would be helpful?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it take getting to a certain age where you can really like have that type of dialogue with people too. Like, it's not 14 or 15. It's just not like a kid. But I do think it's about like it's no different than like if you talk to like a baby long enough, like they're not gonna get their vocabulary together. So like you do want to be talking to kids that's growing up in a way that's very serious and setting goals and doing real life stuff. And I do think it's about asking like what's some of the things that would make you not act out in this way. I think it's about being that simple and juvenile with it too. But I mean, we can't leave it up to 15, 16-year-olds to govern themselves just on. When you're dealing with the type of youth I'm talking about, where they not done, their life ain't over, but they are dealing with serious stuff that can end your life right now, right? So it's like, it's deeper than it is at the surface, for sure.
So, while we on that topic, I would like to ask, what is something you think can be done for the youth who feel like they already got their mind made up as far as the life they want to live? Like, how do you help them make that conversion to a different mindset about bettering their life?
I think it's just about starting with fundamentals of like, regardless of what life you want to live, like I always talk to people about like, if you can't drive a dang car or got your license, then like how far are you really gonna get on any of this stuff you talking about? Whether you're trying to do something illegal or whether you're just trying to do something that's not illegal, like what you gonna do without your license? So it's like, it's certain stuff like you want to get back to fundamentals on stuff, you know what I'm saying? Or if you can't retain certain, regardless of what life you're trying to live, whether you trying to live a hood life or whether you're trying to live a good life, what it get down to is if you don't got certain essentials, like you ain't doing nothing anyway. And when you mess up enough, you don't have the essentials you need, you know what I'm saying? Forget wanting luxuries. If you mess up enough, you won't have the essentials. So it's just about starting there. And it's like, I don't care how hood you want to be or what life you want to live. If you ain't got the basics, then you ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got regular stuff, then if you got to live a life to where you can't even do certain things, what you call yourself having, if you will, like it ain't really, you know what I'm saying? That's where I like to start.
I agree.
So for a youth that's about to join the program or that gets selected for the program, what is that selection process like? And if you were talking to these youth right now to kind of explain to them why they should be in this program and how it's going to help them, and what, like I know you said you work with them for about a year. If you were breaking down what the program is and what they have to look forward to, what does that year look like for them?
Right. So it's really like more so like 6 months to a year, but it's like 6 months is the gist of, which ain't a really long time, you know what I'm saying, at all. But 6 months is a long time when you like in high school, when you're 15, 14 and stuff. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's long enough to gauge, like, if somebody want to do stuff differently, if you will, or at least start to. It's also short enough time for people to do what they want to do and change them and go back. You know what I'm saying? But what I would say is so like I said, it's two different ways that a kid can get in the program. One of them would be you in juvenile already, and just as you in there, they identify you as somebody who would do good, and that they think when you go home that, you know, between you and the parent that they're gonna be a good fit. Like I said, a lot of it is like people gauging where your parent at with it too, right? So then we'll get an advocate that'll start working with them as they're leaving juvenile over the couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? Go to court, their last court date with them, and then try to integrate them back into, you know what I'm saying, just getting back in school and all those things, just at the basic level. The other way you can get in the program would be, like, we really trying to target like people that's like stealing the cars and doing all of that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I know we got a police in the back. I don't want to be putting no words in their mouth, but we working with St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department to get the other group of guys that's stealing the cars and doing those type of things more in real time. So they can kind of like catch some guys that's doing direct stuff when it's going on and happening. You know what I'm saying? And then hopefully that had them take a step back and be like, dang, okay, I really could have went to jail for that right now. And then hopefully the parent want them to get into the program, you know what I'm saying? Because that also establishes like the mindset of like, okay, like if I see your kid again, they for sure going to jail. You feel me? If you ain't let him get in the program, and then you tripping about the program, and you know what I'm saying, saw your kid again, so them kids for sure be going to jail. Then we'll see you when you come out of juvenile.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is those are the main two ways. And then I'm sure, like I said, we want to get to a point where we rocking with and I know this is really for the city, but where we doing it with the county too. I think the county a place that need it like for real, you know what I'm saying? I think the program could be double what it's gonna be in the city if it was in the county too. And it's like a lot of those crimes, depending on where they get committed at, you might got somebody, depending on where you're in the city, like if you do something in Wellston and then you go across the street, like it just depends on where you do it at. So it's like a lot of those, like I worked in St. Louis County Detention Center for a couple of years, like in Clay, and a lot of those kids be kids from the city that did something in the county, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just about, but those are the two ways a kid can get in the program. Now, when a kid get in the program, it's as simple as like me putting them with an advocate, you know what I'm saying, or a coach that's gonna be the best for their vibe and what they into, you know what I'm saying? But it's as simple as we're gonna probably in the first couple of days visit the high school and we will pull up at the crib, visit the, you know what I'm saying? All of that would happen with just the application process with you and the mom. But when we really set and we like, all right, you with Carl, you going with Mr. Mike. When we get to that point and we set you with somebody, and now it's like that advocate is gonna spend, you know what I'm saying, 15 hours a week at least with you. You know what I'm saying? So they might see you 3 or 4 days a week, and they just doing different things with you throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? Monday it might be, okay, I'm gonna pick you up and then we're gonna go to the rec center from 5 to 6:30. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go get something to eat after that. So that's 2.5 hours. Then you might get to Tuesday, you didn't really go see the kid, but they called you because they was in crisis about whatever. So that's engagement. Trust me, you know what I'm saying? That's the part, so you have to engage with the kid. You might get to Wednesday and say, okay, well, they wanted to go to that basketball game at the high school. And that's 3 hours. So it's like, it's just about spending that time up throughout the week. And then it's an overtime thing. It's not really in a month. It's really like you look up and then, you know what I'm saying, you spend 4 to 6 months, 4 to 7 months with a kid, and then you will start seeing some changes.
I feel that. So, how important is it, do you feel like, for y'all to partner with other organizations that y'all could, like you were saying, finding kids that's musically inclined or artistically inclined and filtering them to story stitchers? How important is it to y'all over at YAP to partner with other organizations that y'all alumni can kind of go to after they've fulfilled or exhausted the resources that y'all have for them?
So for me, it's about me finding organizations before we get to the end of that point. So you already in the mix with it, and it's just not like you just showing up to get resources.
Right.
But it's like you already been kind of being a part of the organization. And then on you know, like if we use Storage Stitchers or any other organization, if you will, Like, it's not like you got to do too much for this kid. Like, a lot of what they gonna have going on gonna be filtered through YAP in the fact that they really are like kind of court mandated to be doing this with us. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, well, all right, you with YAP, I found an organization for you to go to. Like, now go hang out with story stitchers all the time. Nah, it'll just be like the first kid I see that's really into the arts in any way, you know what I'm saying, or into media, you know what I'm saying, we want to try to get them over to story stitchers.
Right.
Because now they can hone in on some stuff they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's about that. And then along the way, hopefully they got a good enough relationship with story stitchers to where they can get something out of it when they 6 months or 8 months or 9 months is done with
Felt. And we do offer, you know what I'm saying, podcasting classes. We got a beat making curriculum, DJing, if they dance, sing, rap, poetry, draw, whatever it is. So just a few things that if you got youth that are into those sorts of things, you know what I'm saying, even you don't have to be artistic to want to know how to podcast and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Podcasting is one of them things that almost everybody, you know what I'm saying, podcasting has become like what rap is, how like everybody feel like they can rap or whatever. Everybody feel like they can do a podcast, you know what I'm saying?
And then you might just be somebody who's a good host or a master ceremony or somebody who's good at like running programs, and like that's where you can hone in on those skills that like with what you doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's where it's born at, on trying to like do bigger things.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. Like, how do you navigate the why behind what the juveniles do? Like, what they do might be the crime that's gotten them in a situation where now they're having to like be involved in the juvenile system. So how do you go about like spending time discussing with them, or maybe discussing with your with those that work alongside you about why is this juvenile or these juveniles doing this particular thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, a lot of times I do think we be focused on just getting straight to the solutions on stuff and not really delving into like why things happen. It just, for me, it really do, when it come to like me having a passion on really wanting to know why you did something or not, I think it just depends on what you did. Because like when you're 16 and stuff like that, the things you do, you still kind of know you did it. Now, I'm not saying that's the end of the world. Like, a lot of times it's just unfortunate that somebody did something that's going to end in the next 25 years of their life and they 16. But it's still one of those things that, like, you got to couple that with, like, just understanding the work you in. Like, you going to see situations where somebody be 15 and do a very heinous crime and ruin their life because of it. So it's about, like, you being an adult viewing it, too. Like, it just, some of it just suck, to answer the question. But then I think with them people that done stuff that you really know it ain't the end of the world on, whether they done something stupid or not, like even if it's somebody that's 15 and you done like armed robbery or something, right? You still might be able to get out of that by the time you 19 and your life not over. So it's like, it's some things that's very serious that they are heinous crimes and your life might not be over with. And those situations are much more easier to dove into with why you did it or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody that's relatable, but I'm still like, I'm not a clinician to really try to be like, I'm going to be able to really know why you did something or not. I think a lot of these things come from like just the structural factors we talked about. You know what I'm saying? And like when you got other siblings that's facing some of these things too, it's not that your parent don't want you to not be in these situations, but it's hard for them to tackle it, right? So it's a lot of different reasons why people do what they do. You know what I'm saying? We for sure want to delve into why you continue to not go to school or why you caught another charge. But what I'm saying is it's still one of those things that when we get you to a level of we on a good playing field, now we really do want to pay attention to why you doing certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because just because you get a kid in the program, they ain't finna start just going to school and all that stuff. They really just finna kind of start finessing and being like, oh, okay, I got somebody that's, y'all gotta take me out somewhere. You know?
Felt. This question actually comes from one of our audience members. So, do you have a personal experience that you can discuss that motivates you to excel and to continue to do this work?
So for me, like, I'm involved in the community in a couple different ways. Like earlier at the podcast, I was saying, like, you know, I'm from the Metro East. Like, I'm kind of in, you know, public service. I'm elected over there, like in the suburb I live in. So for me, it's just personal about doing, you know, like this type of work on multiple fronts. Like, I don't think the job done if I'm just like trying to sit on the city council. Like, there's so many things I can't do by sitting on the city council. Like, for me, that's more of an example for people to be like, all right, it's somebody who look like me, that look different, that can be in that space. But then when we get into this world, it's a little bit different and more hands-on and interactive on what you can delve into on trying to like really save lives. You know what I'm saying? The city council dope, but I'm not gonna save a lot of lives with that. I need to be doing both. Like, they both an extension of each other. You know what I'm saying? Or I wouldn't really be fulfilling what I want to fulfill as far as doing stuff in the community. You know,
That's real.
I wanted to ask about like some of the backgrounds that y'all are into.
Got you.
A little bit before, you know what I'm saying, we break and get out of here. And then just thank y'all a lot. Like I said, to me, I know a lot of kids are into the whole, like, I want to be an engineer, I want to rap, I want to do this and that. Or just, I want to be into the arts in different ways. And we, you know what I'm saying, they don't got the mediums and the spaces to hone into them. So, like I said, I just thank y'all and Susan for really rocking with me and wanting to be an org that's like, no, we for sure working with y'all. Whatever you need when you get the kids ready to go, media or not, like, we want to work with y'all. So I thank you for that. But I was interested in some of like what are some of y'all backgrounds and some of, you know, career fields or paths y'all think y'all want to go with.
Sure, y'all want to start with you and work the way it
Yeah,
works.
so I could just say, like, I currently work for a nonprofit in North City called Mission St. Louis as a success coach. So that's something I do. I do case management with that, which is essentially just having individuals come to our orientation and wherever they are, they can be having like some type of case in terms of them like having spent time in prison. They can be experiencing homelessness. It can be a number of different things, and we try to meet those challenges by partnering with other organizations and providing them with the resources that we have on site.
I'm currently enrolled in college, getting my bachelor's degree in communication. I chose communication as a major because everybody always tells me I'm a good communicator. I give good advice, and that I can speak well. It'll be 2 years that I've been with Story Stitchers next month. And I joined when I was a senior in high school. I didn't even know where a youth job was gonna place me, but when they placed me with Story Stitchers, I just noticed over the first year how much of my time was going to them. Like, they kept me from doing senseless things or being with friends that I probably shouldn't be hanging out with. And I was like, if it can keep me engaged, then I know it can keep other youth engaged. So I've just been with them, picking up new skills and pushing the message up.
Yes, well, I'm also in college, getting my associates in business, also trying to break into digital marketing too. I joined Story Stitch like in 2022 September when St. Louis Youth Jobs sent me an application for them. I'm like, this sounds interesting. Let me join. And once I joined, it was like you're around your people. I like everybody that's here. Everybody's cool. Different out of like my environment, because my environment kind of like violent. So definitely like a breath of fresh air, like coming here.
Fire. So real quick, I condense it down. Music has always kind of been like my main passion, my main focus. Not just rapping and whatnot, but like the performance element of it. I play piano as well. I'm a spoken word artist as well. So just like I've always wanted to make a career out of my art form or whatever. So I actually came to Story Stitches to support a friend of mine, and serendipitously I ended up joining or whatnot. That was in 2017. It was right after I graduated high school. I went to Central Visual and Performing Arts. Shout out to them. I'm gonna do that every time. But so I came from a performing arts school and then came here and was like, yo, this is where I need to be. You know what I'm saying? It offered opportunities to hone my craft and to get paid for my art. And every artist in St. Louis, even if you don't want to be a professional artist, you've at least imagined what it's like to practice your art at the highest level that there is, and imagine what it's like to get paid for your art form or whatever. And Story Stitches kind of provided an avenue for that. As far as the future me, I'm still becoming the best artist that I can be. I'm still learning about the craft. I'm still respecting the craft. I don't know where I'll be in 8 years. I do know that I want to continue to help Story Stitches build until Story Stitches don't need me to help it build no more. And then I want to when I'm no longer kind of a foot soldier of Story Stitches, I want to be on the board, you know what I'm saying, to continue to help prop the organization up, even if I'm not here on a regular or whatnot. But yeah, man, I want to continue to earn a living by practicing my art form, and that's just where I'm at with it. I know I said that was the last one. I did get one more audience question if you got time for it. Sure. All right, so Janice says, how does your program measure success, and what's your success rate? Thank you, Janice.
Yeah, so like I was saying at the beginning of the show, a lot of our program is literally just getting rolling. So like, as it relates to success rate, I don't want to give you nothing false. I mean, right now, like, our success is to get we got an office in the Central West End, and our success is to get our referrals coming in. We getting those rolling in. We gonna work with about 30 youth over 1 year. But like, success for YAP is, like I said earlier, being in a position to be able to, do these programs in different areas. You know, like Chicago got like 10 different YAP programs, you know what I'm saying, with 10 different me and 10 different stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's about us being able to, success for me would be us being able to look at the St. Louis region and get a YAP program, you know what I'm saying, the St. Louis County area as well. So, you know what I'm saying, you can kind of curb some of those things too, because it's a lot of problems we face is more of a region thing as it relates to like this neighborhood or that neighborhood thing. And success for me is just growing, like I said, seeing the program be bigger and getting to grow in this space and getting to work with this type, this population for sure.
100%. Wow. This is an awesome podcast. Thank you so much for stopping in, Ryan. Thank you everybody else that showed up, especially if you wasn't even a part of Story Stitches, and especially if you are a part of Story Stitches but didn't plan on being in the podcast. You just here because you want to be here. We appreciate y'all for being here. Everybody under the sound of my voice, I want to thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of StitchCast Studio. I hope you found this, entertaining, insightful, that you maybe learned something that you didn't know before you listened to this podcast. If you're in between the ages of 16 and 24 and want to know how you can be a part of what we do, it's completely free to sign up. It's completely free to join. We encourage you to go to storystitches.org or bump into us at one of our events or whatnot. We got cards. They got QR codes. It don't get no easier than that. It's free to sign up. It's free to register. As a matter of fact, the only money that gets exchanged is us giving you money for youth engagement and whatnot. So I want to thank y'all for showing up. Thank everybody. I'm signing out.
See y'all later.
Peace.
For sure.
We out.
Deuces.
And we out. You said my line, bro. And we out. Peace, y'all.
St. Louis Story Stitches. StitchCast Studio Live is supported in part by an award from the National Endowment for the Arts on the web at arts.gov. Story Stitches is supported in part by the Lewis Prize for Music's 2021 Accelerator Award. The mission of the Lewis Prize is to partner with leaders who create positive change by investing in young people through music. StitchCast Studio, St. Louis Story Stitches, and the Center is supported by Kreuzberg Arts Foundation as a resident organization. Thank you for listening.
They say who that, but you already knew that. That be them story stitches. Story stitches, story stitches, story stitches, story stitches.